Hello there and welcome to Recaps, one of the side shows here on the Screen Queen to discuss the current TV shows about to have a new season. And that's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I finally got the chance to have my first episode back in February when I covered Yellow Jackets with my friend Jenna. And let's just say my friend Jenna carried the episode a lot more than I did when it came to successfully getting all of the things right. But I like to think that I'm someone that can do something better the next time around after giving myself a much needed break, so I waited till another show was about to be having a new season to have something talking about. And well, with this show, people haven't exactly forgotten it since its December premiere. Squid Games took the world by storm. I mean, #1 on Netflix. Do I have to say any more after that? I will, but that kind of says it right there for how popular it is and probably will continue to be. This was something that no one really saw coming. We do have a love of international shows, but this is top tier when it comes to TV shows in general. That's something to be proud about. However, people were very unsatisfied with season 2. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail and commentary since I kind of want to keep it with the predictions, but I do have to address that this season did have a rough response. I legit loved the second season so much, I rewatched it several times. I thought it was a great continuation from a series that we hadn't seen for 3 years. But with the way that it was 7 episodes instead of 9, there was a bit of a crunch there. I could see the angle for where people were complaining, but I don't think it warranted very low ratings for something that actually had to be given, as I found out, a very difficult choice. The way that Squid Games went, it was less games and just more people involved. And that also wasn't a complaint, but people really came back to see what was the creative games on top of wanting to see how Gi-hun is going to go through. Like, I didn't think he was going to go back. Like, after the end of the first season and it went to a long hiatus, like, a lot of people thought, oh, that's just it. He's just going to go back and we're just going to have a cliffhanger. Oh, cool. But no, that wasn't the case. They gave a very strong introduction that felt like you came in right where 3 years left off. And the entirety of the series only being 6 episodes, I felt like that was the extent of how Squid Games would go if it was 6 episodes. Knowing that was the time frame compared to 9 episodes, there were more time for games. And this one, no, because we got to get this thing moving along. Because there was something else I found out, that this wasn't supposed to be cut in half. This was supposed to be a second season and only a second season. But unfortunately, it had to be cut in half to have a season 2 and a season 3. And that probably is also why the story feels a little bit jostled. Like, people left loving the show, I left loving the show, but then there was an incompleteness. Knowing that it was sequestered like that on purpose, I'm like, okay, now all of that timeline fits out. Nothing really feels fast. But because it is still technically second season, that is a hell of a cliff note to have to end on. And it really took people a little out of placement. But I get it. As someone that has had to do that with their own pieces of work, and I've had to cut up my book into 3 parts to make it digestible, that's a tough call, knowing how this was only supposed to be 6 episodes and then just chance it. And sometimes the gamble works and sometimes it's the way it has to happen. I'm sure if it was the other way around, it would have just been a second season and that's it. And it wouldn't have to have 3 seasons. But then again, we got to have our answers. Is Gi-hun gonna survive? Is everyone gonna be okay? Like, that's my questions, but I'm gonna get into that right now. Okay, so that was the pre-recaps, just to give that series a little bit of a break after all the cluster of mess that it's been deciphering and getting through. So, here's what we know so far. Gi-hun has been captured. Jung-bae has been eliminated. The players that helped Gi-hun in the takeover of ending the Squid Games have also, unfortunately, been captured. Cho's been captured. Dae-ho has been captured. Unfortunately, that one really nice father, I think he was Mr. 246, as they called him. I know he has a name, but his number is all that comes to mind. It is unclear if he has lived or died. Mrs. Jung and her son Young Silk have been captured. Oh god, if anything happens to Mrs. Jang, I am not going to be okay. The front man is back to being the front man. And on the outside of it all, the police officer that we have been following to also help out with the end of the Squid Game, even working with Gi-hun, is on the outside trying to get in, and unfortunately, the fisherman that's been helping him is also involved with the Squid Games because, yeah, of course, he's gonna be right there in a private island that no one else knows about. Everything is slowly getting ensnared for these characters. And then there's the other side plot that kind of took people by surprise. One of the masked soldiers has been given a B plot to know what her story is like. I believe her name was Noul. How her role is going to be playing in the end of it all is also a big question, since she's clearly not going to move from her side, but job's got to be done, and the games begin again. So there has been some burning questions that I have about the show, like many others. So the first question that I have is kind of more of a curious one. I wonder how Mrs. Jang is going to react to all of this. I mean, everyone else is too. I mean, it's not just Mrs. Jang that's going to be finding out that player number one has been the one in charge of it all along. But every one of those characters is going to have a unique reaction to the front man, and I want to know what Mrs. Jang's reaction is going to be. I've had a running joke that Mrs. Jang should be the one to end the front man. Hell hath no fury, like a mom sometimes. That woman held together the whole damn team. I have no doubt if opportunity knocks, I think she's going to go for it. Like, 100%. She's fighting for so many characters, and for her also being an older character with tenacity that gives you hope. So I'm really hoping that she's not going to be part of the body count, and I want her to get one good punch in to the front man. If that doesn't happen, I'm okay. I just want Mrs. Jang to be okay, and knowing how the dice is going to be rolling for everybody, no one is going to be safe. We've learned from these games so far that you cannot love these characters because you don't know if they're going to survive the next game. And that also brings me to my next question. What is going to be the final game? Because before we had, the Squid Game battle, but we didn't get that because Gi-hun was like, oh, hell no, and decided to go ahead and usurp everything in the most greatest successful failure possible, that at least tried to get the whole thing to shut down with the most out of everyone's cooperation. But now that everyone is back in them fucking games, what is the last game? And this is not based on the trailer. Just seriously, is it going to be Squid Game or is it not going to be a Squid Game? Because I feel like it'd be a little bit weird if we didn't end the series the way that the title has said from the get-go. This is how we got here. It's probably how we should end. But then that begs me to my other question that's also character-based. What is going to happen to Junhee's baby? That girl is due any minute, and we're about to go into the next games. Is this going to be a Squid Game baby? The idea of a pregnant woman was something I did not see coming in the Squid Games, even though it does make sense that someone who desperately needs money for a baby would put that chance up, and she survived more than anybody would have thought. Even on the game where everyone had to take their turns doing the most intense ways of doing every single small game possible, and she kicked ass at it, proving that she can survive. But at the same time, she is definitely having a baby at some point, at some time. If it happens during one of them games, oh my goodness, what a heart attack that's gonna be. Every time I think about what these characters have to go through, it's like, I don't even want to think about how they're going to survive, because I know that Squid Game is going to find a way to just go ahead and, like, make it traumatizing. Like, I know they got grim plans ahead. You know, I almost forgot the most important question of them all. What's going to happen to the detective that's also trying to figure out what's going on with the Squid Games again? So, as another additional recap that I forgot, the fisherman that has been helping the police officer on the outside, well, let's just say ex-police officer, is in cahoots with the Squid Game team, which the writing was kind of on the wall, but the betrayal still stung like it always does, because you know Squid Game is doing something right if the betrayal stings badly. So his fate is going to be a big question if they're ever going to have this, what I would call a No Country for Old Men kind of a intersection again. The way that these are two characters that are both working towards the same goal. However, I will admit I did lose a little bit of interest when it came to the detective, and I legit forgot sometimes that there was a guy on the outside. If it wasn't for the comic relief guy that was a part of the team, I probably would have forgotten about the entire segment, I'll be honest. The way the series was so short that I kind of forgot about that question multiple times, but because the series was cut in half, and if it was as a whole, then that's also going to be a big parallel question to know. Is Gi-hun and the police officer going to be able to stop this whole thing together? Because every time they try individually, they get screwed by these guys every time. That is how good the front man is, unfortunately, that he has two different threats coming after them, and he has them both planned out perfectly. That's horrifyingly brilliant. I had to think about. Truly, what is the body count going to look like? Every season we lose characters, like I just said. So there's no chance to know who is going to walk away. It could be Gi-hun, it could not be Gi-hun, and they could just completely change the whole script. Everything about Squid Game has felt unpredictable. It did feel a little jostled, but not unpredictable. Whatever this is, it's got to be worth the ending, but knowing what the ending is going to be, it could go one of either way, guys, how this whole thing is going to go. We've had so many shows come through that have such a compelling beginning and then have an underwhelming ending if it doesn't hold up to it. And knowing that there's been so much hype over Squid Game, the idea of having an ending that is going to stick with you than just having to know it and walk away from it, or just not even feel your time was worth it. But I feel this show is too smart to make us underwhelming. But like I said, it could be something that you could remember like it was just in your mind, or it could not give the same impact that it led with. It's going to be a tough call to know how it's going to go. So I did see some of the new trailer that came out this week, and from what we see and from what the Netflix poster even put up there, that we do have the same characters that we started with. We see Mrs. Jang and her son, Young Silk. We see Cho. We see, of course, Gi-hun, and he, of course, is not dead, because you always got to play with your food a little bit more. And the way they're going to throw everything together for these characters, it's going to hurt. But knowing that we're walking into the next season with these same ones, it's a wonder who we're going to walk away with. Everyone here has made such an impact online and in so many people's hearts. It is probably going to be the most painful season that everyone is going to look forward to watching. To quote Ron Weasley, you're going to be miserable, but you're going to be happy about it. Guess it's the way it's going to have to go with Squid Games, guys. Now, as much as I would love to go into more detail about Squid Game, I'm gonna leave the rest of that when I actually get to cover the entirety of Squid Game, because, oh my goodness, it's gonna be an interesting toss-up this Friday, guys. So that is going to be a cap on the recaps. Thank you so much for showing up for the second episode. This is a nice little mini series to get into, like trailer time, and just shake things up a little bit. And if y'all want to catch up with me in between uploads, you can find me at the Queen of the Screen. And if you're looking for an easier way to listen to this media queen, I am available on YouTube, and you can find me on Spotify. So I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a rest. Y'all take care now. Stay amazing. Please do not fall for anybody in the subway challenging you to something, because clearly we know how that works out. This is your Screen Queen signing off. Bye-bye.